Day before yesterday, we have started discussion of bending stresses in the simple beam. How we can calculate the bending stresses which may occur in a simple supported beam. We have used our knowledge of bending moment and shear stress of a beam which is subjected to a different type of forces normal to the line of action of the forces, line of action of the normal to the longitudinal action axis of the beam itself. Our requirement for to know the bending moment or shear stress at this section is to know how we can calculate the bending stresses across the cross section of the beam and how we can calculate the shearing stress across the cross section of the beam. These two knowledge is required for our basic purpose of designing a beam itself. In order to do the same, we have understood there are few simplified assumptions as per the theory of simple bending. The material will be homogeneous and isotropic. Homogeneous means this is same everywhere. Isotropic has equal plastic properties everywhere. Beam is bent within elastic limit means it will go back to the original shape, and when the sectional load is removed and it is obeying Hooke's law. Now, the all the transverse section of a particular beam will remain plane before and after bending. It will not distort, and mm, each layer of the beam is free to expand and contract independently of the adjacent layer to it. And the fifth is the value of phi, Young's modulus, is same in all tension and compression. This is more or less true in for mostly for steel or all ductile materials. This beam is in equilibrium. There should not be a resultant stress developed anywhere inside it. So whatever may be the action of the beam, action of the external load, it should be perfectly balanced by the bending stresses created across the section itself. These are the few assumptions which we have made yesterday. Next, what we have gone through, a elementary section of the beam we have chosen. Elementary section of the beam, its length is equal to almost, it is tending to infinity, or it is extremely small but not equal to 0. This is the length dx, the elemental length or differential length, and between two section AV and CD of the beam. And before the bending, this is the shape of the section. Before this section of the this portion of the beam between of the of a particular length, and this is the shape of the beam after the bending itself. What you see here, there is A, B, C, and D. These are the two sections which is away from each other by a resistance dx. Same is the case here. But after the bending, it will take the form A dash, B dash, and C dash, and D dash. There is also another straight line which goes through the central axis of the beam known as RS, which becomes R dash and S dash. Before the bending it was RS, and next it was R dash and S dash. Next, what we have seen, now what we see, the curvature of the beam due to this extremely small length of the beam under consideration, it is equal to dx. The curvature of the beam is, we have assumed, this more or less circular and does not take any other particular shape. Next, we see as per the shape of the beam shown in the figure, the topmost layer of the beam is under compression, and it is the highest amount of compressive force induced in the topmost layer of the beam. And so long it goes down across the section inside towards the axis, this compressive force will tends to become reduces, and one particular point of time it becomes equal to 0. And then from that particular layer where it is 0, if we go down to the lowermost fibers, we'll go that instead of compressive forces, tensile stress is induced, and it is increasing, and it is the maximum at the lowermost fiber of the beam itself. Now you see the layers above a particular line RS is being compressed, and later above at the lower of the particular line RF is stressed. But this layer RS, which is neither RS compression nor tension, is defined as the neutral layer. The RS, which is not compressed or stressed, or it does not exist any sort of stress at all, is defined as neutral plane or neutral layer. This is the this particular theory means the definition of this neutral layer is the theory of bending, is the theory of simple bending. So we have to understand, if you have the question, what is the theory of simple bending? We have to know, we have to say, we have to discuss, explain what is the neutral layer, definition of neutral layer, and how does it exist. Now, a bending stress, say again, we are considering the same elemental length of the beam of length dx. It is already subject to a bending moment due to the action of external forces acting over the beam itself. And we find out, calculate the bending moment and say that bending moment across the acting on the beam between this section is equal to m. Between this elemental section dx of length elemental section dx, it is equal to m. And theta is the angle supplied subtended at the axis, and theta is the angle subtended at the center by the arc itself, and r is the radius of curvature of the beam itself. Next. And this is the figure. Just 1 second. Hello. Sorry. Now, uh, now let us have this. This is the particular length of the beam. This is the full beam, which is showing by the section line like this here and here. And this is the length under our consideration, which is elementally small, or in fact it's small, equal to dx between the section AB and CD. And this is the neutral line RS, neutral axis or neutral line RS. And after the bending itself, now consider the layer RS at a distance y from S. Next, we are thinking that we are investigating about the performance of this particular strip at a distance y from this RS itself. Now, what happens after the layer, after the bending, due to the action of external bending moment, this layer will, this particular elemental length of the beam will take this form A1, B1, A1 dash, B1 dash, C1 dash, and D1 dash. And before the bending, our section under consideration was PQ, and now after the bending, it becomes P dash Q dash. And R dash RS was our neutral axis being was initial axis, and after the bending, it is R dash S dash. And R is the radius of curvature of the central axis of the beam, or equal to the radius of curvature of the central axis of the beam itself. Now, what we see here, as it is above the neutral axis, P dash Q dash is under compression, not under tension. So the decrease in its length is equal to original length PQ minus final length P dash Q dash. So PQ minus P dash Q dash. So that's strain, we know, deflection divided by the original length P dash PQ minus P dash Q dash by PQ. Now, from the geometry of the curve beam, we know that two sections O P dash Q dash and O R dash S dash. P dash Q dash divided by R dash S dash is the distance R minus Y, because this distance of the PQ is equal to Y from the R. This distance particularly is the Y. So R minus Y, and R dash radius of R dash S dash is equal to R itself. Thus, what we have 1 minus P dash Q dash by r dash s dash is equal to y minus r minus y by r dash, or r dash s dash minus p dash q dash is equal to pq is equal to y, which is equal to r minus y, y minus r, or p dash q dash is equal to pq, or r dash s dash is equal to pq is equal to pq, length of the original length of the section before it bends, because before it bends every length of every section is equal to dx, and they are equal to each other, then they are all of them are equal to the elemental length dx. So pq and rs, pq is equal to r dash s dash, because we know pq is equal to rs is equal to dx, and rs as the neutral axis does not change its length due to the bending, so rs is equal to r dash s dash. So pq is equal to r dash s dash. Thus we are putting the value of pq here. Thus we get the equation pq minus p dash q dash by pq is equal to y by r, or this is EPSA, just we have deduced. This is the strain in the fiber, or strain EPSA is equal to y by r. It is thus obvious that the strain EPSA of a layer is proportional to the distance from the neutral axis. It is very clear because the r, which suppose not to change for a particular beam, so distance for a particular bend of the beam, so distance from the neutral axis of the particular section is the main variable of controlling the compressive or tensile strain of the layer itself. And we know that from bending stress sigma b, with the strain multiplied by the modulus of elasticity epsilon into E, or y by r into E itself. Now y into E by r, they are all constant, so stress at any point is directly proportional to the distance of that particular point from the neutral axis itself. So the above expression we also written as sigma by y, sigma b by y is equal to E by r, or sigma b E by r into r. That bending stress is inversely proportional to the radius r. So bending stress is indirectly proportional to the radius r. So maximum stress, the radius should be minimum, and vice versa itself. Now let us go through a simple problem over the bend to calculate the bending stress. What we have here, a steel wire of 5 millimeter diameter, and it is rolled or bent into a circular shape of 5-meter radius, or 10 millimeter, not millimeter, but meter radius diameter, 10-meter diameter or 5 millimeter diameter, 5-meter diameter. Determine the maximum stress increase in the where takes E is equal to 200 GPa. So you have to find here the maximum stress induced. So this is the cross-section area of our wire, which is of diameter equal to 5 millimeter, and the diameter radius of curvature of the circular shape is equal to 5 meter, because radius of that particular wire, radius of the bend of the particular wire is given equal to the radius of the circular shape. Now we know that the distance between the neutral axis of the wire and the extreme fiber is equal to y t by 2. So for a circular space, the extreme fiber will be away from the central axis equal to radius or half of the diameter, which is given as where d is the 5 equal to 5 millimeter, so y is equal to 2.5 millimeter. So the maximum distance of the from the maximum from the neutral axis of to the maximum fiber, maximum diameter of the fiber itself is equal to 2.5 millimeter. So the maximum bending moment induced in this case is given as sigma max E by r is equal to y. 200 into 10 to the power 3 is given as 200 into 10 to the power multiplied by 10 to the power 3, because 200 GPa, if you multiply it by 1000, it will become Newton per millimeter square. So 200 into 10 to the power 3 divided by r is given as 5 meter, 5 multiplied by 10 to the power 3 multiplied by y is the distance of the distance, or equal to the radius of the wire is equal to 2.5. So the sigma stress is equal to 100 Newton per millimeter square or 100 MPa. This is the value of the stress which we want to know. Next, let us go through what is the position or what is the dimension of the neutral axis supposed to be. The line of the intersection neutral layer with the neutral cross section, central cross section or normal cross section of the beam is defined as neutral axis of that particular section. So this is a section and this is the neutral axis and neutral layer. The intersection of the neutral layer with this section is given us the neutral axis itself. This is noted here as NA. Now let us consider a section PQ again from the which is away from a distance y from the neutral axis itself. Let delta A is the area of the layer and the intensity of stress in the layer is PQ, or sigma is equal to y into E by R. Then sigma is equal to this delta A, area of the area, that is the area of this area PQ. The multiplied intensity of the stress of this area will be sigma y into E by R. Total stress in the layer will be intensity of the stress multiplied by area y E by R into delta A itself. So the total force acting over this area is equal to the stress multiplied by the area of that elemental length. Hmm. Total stress in this section, if we go through the full section, full stresses, or go through the individual layer and add the forces acting over this each individual layer, it will become sigma y E by R into delta A, which is equal to E by R. We brought it outside because E by R is always constant. E by R multiplied by sigma y delta A. The summation of all the distance of all fibers from the central axis and the area of all fibers. This is the total stress of the section itself. And this section is in equilibrium supposed to be, because we know that each section is in equilibrium. The bending stress thus created is valuing the external load created on the section itself. So we can say the total stress acting over this area is equal to 0. So all the area doesn't have a resultant stress. It is actually 0 itself. So E by R is equal to sigma y delta is equal to 0, or E by sigma y delta A by A is equal to 0. As E by R is the Young's modulus and radius of gyration, it can never be equal to 0. So that's what happens here. Y multiplied by delta is a moment of the area about the neutral axis. A particular area of thickness delta x at a distance y from the neutral axis, then y into delta is the moment of area about the neutral axis, and sigma y into delta is the moment of entire area of the cross section about the neutral axis. Okay? Sigma y into A means the addition of the moment of entire area of the cross section about the neutral axis itself. It is thus obvious that the neutral axis of the section will be so located that the moment of the entire area about the axis is 0. It is thus obvious that the neutral axis of the section will be so located that the moment of entire area about the axis is 0. Because we know that the moment of any area about an axis passing through the central area of the section always passing through a centroid. What is the CG? We have to find out, and we know the moment of any area passes through a central axis always passes through the centroid. So it is to locate the neutral axis of the section. First, we have to find out the centers of the section. Then draw a line passing through the centroid, and normal to the plane of the bending. This line is the neutral axis of the section itself. So what is the most important now comes out here is the centroid. With the central axis of any section always passes through the centroid itself. Now, to know, we have to know the neutral axis. So then we have to find out the then. So before everything, we have to find out what is the centroid of the section. Then we can safely find out the neutral axis of the section, because a normal to the bending plane of this section of this neutral plane is equal is the our neutral axis under consideration. So you have to calculate what is the bending stress itself. Then another term, moment of resistance. Let us go through what is it. We have the rectangular section of a particular beam, and whose neutral axis is given as NA, and it is the layers above the NA, above the line NA is for the compressive in nature, and later lower the line NA is tensile in nature. So the stresses from a couple or a bending moment whose moment must be equal to the external moments. The moment of this couple which resists the external bending moment is known as the moment of resistance. So in this section, the, the forces moment stresses of the component itself means there is a moment, and this must be equal to the external bending moment acting on this section, which otherwise is known as external bending moment acting upon the section itself. Now consider a section of the beam. As above figure, let NA neutral axis now consider a small potential RPQ. The beam section at a distance y from the neutral axis. This is PQ, it is a distance y from the neutral axis itself. Now delta A, let us consider the area of this section PQ, intensity of stress on this area sigma y into R E by R. So total stress over the total area PQ y into E bar R in delta A itself. So we have stress multiplied by the area itself. We find out the stress and you multiply it by means of the area over which the stress is created. The total stress of total load acting in the area y into E by R is equal to delta A. The moment of total stress about the neutral axis will be multiplied by this distance of on the neutral axis, that is y. So y E by R sigma A into y multiplied by y is equal to E by R y square into delta A. It is the moment of total stress about the neutral axis itself. The algebraic sum of all such moments about the neutral axis is equal to m itself. M is the external bending moment applied over this section itself. So all the algebraic sum of the moment is supposed to be equal to the external bending moment itself. So we have to make m external bending moment acting over this section is equal to sigma E by R y square into delta A. Sigma E by R into sigma y square delta A. The extension sigma y square delta A represents the moment of the section, moment of the inertia of the section itself of the about the neutral axis. Here we have sigma y square delta A. This sigma y square delta A, the moment of inertia of the area of the whole section about the central axis. Moment of inertia is the second moment about of an area, or moment about an area about an axis is equal to again y square delta A. Thus m is equal to E by R into I, where I is the moment of area, or m by I E by R. I is equal to E by R. We have seen that sigma by Y is equal to E by R. So M by I is equal to sigma by Y is equal to E by R. This is the most important equation, or also the control. This is also another bending equation in modified form. Uh, Equation of bending in the modified form, and it is the most important equation in the theory of simple bending, which gives us the relation between the various characteristics of a beam itself. So M by I, moment of inertia, bending moment about the section, I moment of inertia of the section is equal to sigma, the stress induced in the section, divided by Y is the distance of that particular fiber where whose stress sigma we have chosen from the neutral axis itself is equal to Young's modulus of the bar divided by radius of curvature of the bar at neutral axis when it is bent. So this is the bending equation of simple bending itself. Now, what is the distribution of stress across the section? What is the distribution of bending stress across the section itself? We know if we there is no stress at neutral axis. In a simple supported beam, there is a compressive stress above the neutral axis and a tensile stress below the neutral axis. And at neutral axis, there is no stress at all. But for a cantilever beam, this is for the simply supported beam. But for a cantilever beam, there is a tensile stress above the neutral axis and a compressive stress below the neutral axis. Stress at a point here is shown is directly proportional to distance from the neutral axis. If we plot the stress in a simple supported beam cross section, we will have a figure like this. This side is tensile stresses, this side is compressive stresses, and there is no stress at neutral axis itself. This will be the diagram of the stress itself. Now, the moment of the section, the what will be the modulus of the section? There is another new term, is the modulus of the section itself. The relation for finding out the bending stress on the extreme fiber of the section is given as M by I sigma by Y, or M sigma I divided by Y. From this relation, we find that the stress in a fiber is proportional to the distance from center of gravity. If Y max is the distance between the center of gravity of the section and the extreme fiber, then M sigma x is equal to I by Y max is equal to sigma max multiplied by Z, where Z is given as moment of inertia of the section divided by the distance of the extreme fiber of the section from the neutral axis itself. This definition term Z is known as modulus of section or section modulus itself. The general practice of writing above equation is M equal to sigma into Z, where Z sigma denotes the maximum stress and tensile or compressive in nature. Now, the section of the beam is symmetrical always. If there is symmetrical, the CG will and hence the neutral axis will lie at the middle of the depth. Let us consider modulus of volume section first, say rectangular, and the next is a circular itself. What is the modulus of a rectangular section? The moment of inertia of the rectangular section about an axis given by B into D to the power cube divided by 12, where B is the width and D is the depth of the section concerned. And so modulus section will be equal to Z is equal to I divided by R, I by Y is equal to B to the power cube divided by 12 multiplied by 2 by D, where D is the distance from the central axis to the extreme fiber. So that not exactly distance, but D by 2 is the distance of the central axis from the extreme fiber. If we put the value d by 2 as y. So this equation reduced to b d square by 6. So this is the section modulus of a rectangular section, and if the section is square in section, it will be say d to the power cube divided by 6 itself. Next is the circular section. We know now if the center section is hollow, now circular section we have that moment of the inertia of a circular section about an axis through CG. Then I pi by 64 d to the power 4 is equal to modulus of strain is equal to modulus of strain Z I by y. Z I by y is equal to pi by 64 to the power 4 multiplied by the distance of the extreme fiber, that is equal to the radius d by 2. This is equal to pi by 32 d to the power 3 itself, that is y is equal to d by 2. So the given section is hollow. The corresponding values of external and internal diameter must be taken. In case of hollow section, we have to find out, put the value of moment of inertia of the hollow section. It will be divided by y, which is the radius of the outermost section itself. Then what will be the strength of a section? It is also termed as flexural strength of a section, which means that the moment of the resistance offered by it is m by y, sigma by y, or m is equal to sigma by y into z, or m is equal to sigma multiplied by z itself. Sigma by y into I, sigma by y into y, or same sigma into z. The moment of resistance depends entirely on the moment of inertia or section modulus of the section. It is very clear that the moment of inertia of the beam section does not, moment of inertia of the section of the beam does not depend upon the cross-sectional area, but its disposition in relation to the neutral axis. So it is very clear, whatever the cross-sectional area, round or square or weird, that depends the stress moment of inertia of the section, it depends entirely of this relation with the neutral axis itself, where what's the distance of the neutral axis of the center of gravity. A beam is subjected to transverse loading when we say the point is directly proportional to its distance from the neutral axis itself. It is thus observed that the layer near the neutral axis of the beam is uneconomical. So for a layer, flanges are done without withstand almost all bending stresses. Now let us have another problem. A cast iron watertight tube of 600 meter inner diameter, thickness 200 millimeter, supported over a span of 10 meter. The maximum stress in the pipe metal when the pipe is running full, take density of, but find out the maximum stress of the pipe metal where the pipe is running totally full. Density of pipe cast iron of the pipe, which is the material of the pipe, is given. Density of the water is also given. So first we have to find out, we know the internal diameter and we know the thickness, so we find out the outside diameter, the d plus 2t, which has become 540 millimeter. Span length, that is the length of the pipe between the supports, given as 10 meter or 10 to the power 3. Density of cast iron is given and density of water is also given. Thus the cross section of the pipe is, as it is hollow, pi by 4, outer diameter square, the minus inner diameter is equal to pi by 4, 540 square multiplied by 500 square is equal to 32.67 10 to the power 3 millimeter cube. And weight, it is the cross section area multiplied by the density is given as 2.31 Newton per millimeter, means distributed weight per unit length. Then the cross section area of the water section is the inner area of the pipe, pi by 4 multiplied by 500, which is the innermost radius of the radius of the pipe, and is equal to 196.35 to the power 3. The total weight, and the weight is cross section area multiplied by density of the water is given as 1.92 Newton per meter. So if we add this length and this weight together, the total weight of the pipe, intensity of the pipe carried by carrying the water is equal to 2.31 plus 1.92, 4.23. The maximum bending moment at this section of the beam subjected to a uniformly distributed load is given as M. We know for the uniformly distributed load, bending moment at exactly at the center of the beam will be maximum and equal to W L square by 8. Well, W is the load, distributed load carried by the section, given as 4.23. Length is the length between the support, is 10 into the power 3 divided by 8 is equal to 52.9 to the power 6 Newton meter square. The section modulus pi by 4 pi by 32 multiplied by that d, the outermost diameter. The outermost diameter, my inner diameter, d to the power 4, not square. Pi by 32 into 540, 540 to the power 4, 500 to the power 4, equal 4.096 into 10 to the power 6. Hence, the bending stress is M by Z. M is calculated here and Z is calculated here. It becomes 12.9 Newton per millimeter square, equal to 12.9 MPa. Okay, with this, our discussion over bending stress is finished. Tomorrow, I'll start the discussion over the shear stress itself. Thanks for coming and thanks for patient hearing. Goodbye.